Hi, hello and welcome. My name is the Alpha Female and you're listening to Turnbuckle Talk.
Whoa! G'day, mateys. Bushwhacker Luke here, 2015 Hall of Famer, and you're listening to Turnbuckle Talk. Yeah! Whoa!
This is pro wrestling's only modern-day Viking Gunner, and you're on Turnbuckle Talk.
Hey, this is Nick Magnus Solis, and you're listening to Turnbuckle Talk.
Hi, this is Leva Blue Pants Bates, and you are listening to Turnbuckle Talk.
Hey, this is Jeff Jarrett, the king of the mountain and founder of Global Force Wrestling, and you're listening to Turnbuckle Talk. Hey, fellas, you guys have a great day, and this is only because I'm talking to Canadians. It is actually spitting snow in Tennessee.
See? Oh my God!
That's a crazy. We've had 70-degree weather here. We've really had a warm December, and I get on the phone with damn Canadians and we're spitting snow. So.
My name is Carl Carafel. This past week, we lost two amazing performers in the world of professional wrestling. Tonight on Turnbuckle Talk, we are celebrating the legacies of Terry Funk and Bray Wyatt. In the only fashion that we know how, we begin tonight's episode with a 10-bell salute. Thank you for joining us for that 10-bell salute in honor of these two great men that we will be talking about tonight. My name is Carl Carafel. I'm joined alongside Chris Best for tonight's episode. And we're going to be talking about the legacies of these two men. We're just waiting a brief moment because we know that OMD will be joining us as well tonight. And we're going to bring him on momentarily once he is set and ready. And OMD is now with us. Thank you so much. Chris, how are you feeling right now?
I really wish I could say we were doing the show under better circumstances, but this past week has just been, it's been hell in my heart with everything that's happened.
Definitely has been. OMD, how are you feeling?
I'm doing well. Had a long physical day, but I mean, as Chris alluded to, this past week has just been absolutely tragic and devastating in the world of wrestling.
It definitely has been, and I want to make sure that these men get the proper that they deserve. As Ed pipes in and says, "Follow the buzzards. Rest in peace, Bray." Definitely.
Yes.
We all followed the buzzards.
Yes.
We were all fans of Bray Wyatt. We were all fans of The Fiend. We were all fans of everything that he did, whether it was in NXT, whether it was in the main roster, whether it was with the Nexus, with FCW, with the Wyatt family. As the champion, the WWE champion, the deleter of worlds, the Firefly Funhouse segments, and the Fiend that he did. And then the final return that we did get to see very, very little bit of, but we did get to see that with the Wyatt Six, as they were calling things for a little while. I know we definitely have a lot to talk about with Bray Wyatt, and we're going to leave that for the second half of this segment. Before that, I want to talk about a man who almost revolutionized the world of hardcore professional wrestling, one Mr. Terry Funk, working with Western State Sports, Championship Wrestling from Hollywood, All Japan, the WWF, the WCW, International Wrestling Association of Japan, Eastern Championship Wrestling that turned into ECW, returned to the World Wrestling Federation, Extreme Championship Wrestling, back to WCW, doing independence, the NWA, TNA, returns to the WWE as well as independent scene. The man did so freaking much in his career. And I think they alluded to, what was it, 50 years of work inside the ring. Man, what a testament.
Right?
So Terry Funk is his actual name,
right?
Yeah, he was even working up until last year.
Yep. Even amid all his health issues with his liver, his kidneys, all of that.
Right? He didn't quit. He was one of those old school guys that just continued on no matter what. Hassan, thank you so much for coming in. Appreciate you. If you have any memories of Terry Funk or Bray Wyatt that you would like to share with us, please do in this chat, and we will make sure that those get put up on screen. Now, when we talk about Terry Funk, this is something that I decided to do, and I put it out there to everybody in social media to give us their memories, and I got three people that responded, but this is how we're going to do it tonight. So the first one for Terry Funk. Terry Funk may very well have been the greatest wrestler of all time, solely for the reason that he elevated every single wrestler he worked with or wrestled with. And that comes to us from Joe via Facebook. I don't know. What do you guys think? Do you think I agree with that? 100% I do. I think
1000% agree with that. I brought it up last night about Terry. If it weren't, and I said this, if it weren't for his matches with the New Age Outlaws when he tag team alongside Cactus Jack, the New Age Outlaws would not be where they are today.
Mm-hmm.
Right. I didn't really know a whole lot about Terry Funk's early career.
Right.
I do remember him vaguely in ECW. I remember him more from his WCW.
I remember him from WCW too, tag teaming with one Bunkhouse Buck.
Yes. But again, that was sort of WCW, and I was probably more interested in the younger guys or even a DDP as opposed to watching Terry Funk. Now, when he came to the WWE as Chainsaw Charlie, and Mick Foley brought him out, and then they had their matches. They became a tag team.
Right.
And as Chris alluded to, pushing the New Age Outlaws to where they are. And as we've all alluded to, his continuing to work this last year or two amid all of his health issues.
Right.
And whether it was in the ring or going to the conventions and signing an autograph.
Oh, yeah. Like him working those conventions was absolutely fantastic. And he did it very, very often.
Yes.
Hassan does have something, to kind of give us here as well on Bray. He says, yes, I do. He got COVID and got a heart attack, and it made me sad. So he's in the grave and passed away. Yeah, and that is exactly what happened with Bray. We are receiving those reports now that he did.
It's confirmed his funeral is tomorrow.
Yes, it is. For me, Terry Funk, I remember mostly from ECW. We're looking back in like the 1993 time and era, back, Eastern Championship Wrestling into ECW, where, 1997, Terry Funk actually became the ECW World Heavyweight Champion by taking that from Raven at the Barely Legal pay-per-view that they had in 97.
I have that pay-per-view on DVD because they released that as a special edition with One Night Stand 2006, I believe it was.
Nice. And you see, for me, that's like, I loved that. Raven is a great person, great wrestler, everything, right? But for me to see Terry Funk do that, I was just like, this is absolutely amazing right now. And Terry Funk is one of the reasons why I embodied the character that I did when I was working in the wrestling ring as the extreme Canadian Carl Carafel, because Terry Funk was this Southern boy. He was an extreme Southern boy who did hardcore professional wrestling. And that's kind of what I wanted to embody. And I think I did for the most part.
Yeah.
But yeah,
So-
like that's, yeah.
So another thing I wanted to allude to, it actually goes to my earliest memory of Terry Funk. And I always said my first show I've ever remembered watching was WrestleMania 2. He was on that show, but I don't remember him, I don't remember being a child and watching him then.
Right.
But my first memory of him, and this goes back to the comment that we put up before about how he put over younger guys, was a tag team match he had. It was at a Clash of the Champions, the same Clash of Champions where the Butcher attacked Hulk Hogan before his title defense against Ric Flair that night.
Okay.
And on that show, he teamed up with Bunkhouse Buck to take on Dusty and Dustin Rhodes. And Dustin was in the middle of a fair-sized push at the time, and Terry put him over.
Okay.
And Dustin was still in his rookie years at that time.
Interesting. That's pretty cool. OMD, do you have any other like memories of Terry Funk from maybe more recent days that you can remember?
From more recent days, even the earliest memory I have of him was coming out on WCW when he had his major announcement, and he came out and announced it's a girl because he was about to become a grandfather for the second time around.
Okay.
But I mean, to hear, how much he epitomized hardcore, being hardcore before ECW, before the New Jacks, before the Ravens, before the Sandmans.
Right.
And, maybe he should have been labeled as the true innovator of violence.
Maybe so. I definitely think that moniker could definitely go for him. JJ, thank you so much for coming in. I appreciate you. We're going to get to your comment here just a moment. Chris, you had something you were going to say.
Yeah, I was going to say, because you said innovator of violence, and something clicked in me. And I remembered something Ric Flair had said in his book about Terry Funk. He said he always felt that, yes, while they worked hardcore matches and Terry beat the piss out of Flair a lot, he always felt safe working with Terry as well.
That is the makings of a true professional wrestler, somebody who can go in there and make you believe that they're kicking the ever-living crap out of somebody just to make it look like that. Put on that show while still keeping kayfabe. Back then, we discussed kayfabe, a couple of weeks ago. We discussed kayfabe. Yeah, he was a guy that always continued to keep that. OMD, you're going to be totally covered up by this comment, just so that you're aware for a moment.
Okay.
The voice, Joshua Joseph, comes in and says, so Chainsaw Charlie was my first sighting of Funk as a kid. He scared the piss out of me, but also excited my mind on hardcore wrestling. So my older cousin Troy said, this is Terry Funk Tame on the WWF back at the time, the World Wrestling Federation. He sat me down for a weekend and I watched Terry Funk in Japan. I watched the C4 match, C4 explosive match, and just a man who wanted to entertain. He was a solid soul for the business. Thank you, Terry Funk. You taught me it's okay to be insane. Wow.
Beautifully said. Beautifully written.
So we do have another viewer, listener comment for Terry Funk. This one says, Terry Funk versus Cactus Jack. All the matches with them, they made you believe, and we would not have the hardcore scene like we did if it were not for these two guys and what they put out for us. That's coming to us from a Dawn via Facebook. So, yeah, like
100%
Jeez.
agree there as well. Mick
Right?
said that himself in the book as well, in his book.
Yeah, definitely. If it wasn't for them, I don't know that we would have hardcore like we have. Right?
Mhm.
Okay, I'm gonna say in mainstream.
Right.
Right? There was always companies that were doing insane shit, doing crazy things, doing this hardcore style. But these two, I think, really pulled it all together to be able to make it hardcore, but still keep it mainstream. And then, especially when they had their times in the WWF or the WWE, whatever you want to call it, working together. Chainsaw Charlie definitely 100% was a character that was just absolutely insane, but made it work and made it
Yep.
relevant enough to be on television.
Yep.
Yeah. And I got to say, the last hardcore match I watched Terry Funk wrestle was the tag team hardcore match where he, Tommy Dreamer, and Beulah McGillicuddy took on Mick Foley, Lita, and Edge at One Night Stand 2006.
Right.
And I had so much concern for Terry, but little did I know is he was actually fine, and he was just really selling really well in that match.
Right. Yep. Again, coming back to that kayfabe that we talked about earlier, he was a guy that legitimately kept that. JJ saying, remember Billy's eyes? Anytime they did a big spot with those two, they got so big. Yeah, they were saucers.
Yep.
They were like teacup saucers. 100% they were. Terry Funk, thank you so much for being the man that you were, for allowing us to have a little bit of your life with us. And all of this stuff is still out there for people to be able to, take a look at and see. But the man didn't just do professional wrestling. The man actually went out and did movies. Yeah.
Yeah.
Right? Starting back in 1989 in the movie Roadhouse with Patrick Swayze. How many people in the wrestling business?
87. He did a movie with Stallone.
Yes, he did.
Yes, that's right.
I can't remember the name of the movie.
Me either right now. But I remember 89.
Yeah.
That much I remember.
Roadhouse, the big bar fight.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, how many people can say that they've worked with Patrick Swayze?
Right.
That are in the wrestling business, right?
Yeah.
I was actually thinking about this the other day too, because I noticed in watching No Holds Barred, Stan Hansen's character was a lot like how Terry Funk was in Roadhouse. If Stan Hansen couldn't do that role, I would have picked Terry Funk for sure.
Right? Yeah. Over the top.
That's right.
And then let's even go back further then. 1978 with Paradise Alley. He was in that movie as well, once again, with Sylvester Stallone.
Yeah, him and Stallone were really tight friends. He was also very good friends with Bruce Willis as well.
Yes. And then he did another movie called The Ringer back in 2005. So going from 1978 to 2005, that's what I'm seeing right now.
I don't remember Terry being in that movie. I've seen that movie quite a few times.
Cameo. There were cameos by Terry Funk and Jesse Ventura.
I'm going to have to go back and watch it again.
And then there was an autobiography released in 2005. In 2010, he appeared on Right After Wrestling with Arda Ocal on Sirius Satellite Radio.
I remember listening to that show.
Right? Me too. And then he's in video game format as well, working as himself and as a downloadable character as Chainsaw Charlie for WWE 13.
Yes, I remember
when I got that DLC pack and I'm like, oh, I can't wait to play as Chainsaw.
Right?
I remember, doing the BCN fantasy wrestling and beating my character beating the snot out of Terry Funk in a backstage brawl. Granted, it was a 3-on-1 handicap match.
Yeah.
Okay.
I've actually got a little known story about Terry Funk that I don't think a lot of people would have known. But for the 96, it was the 96 Royal Rumble. Dory Funk Jr. made an appearance in that one. It wasn't supposed to be Dory. It was supposed to be Terry.
Oh, really?
Yep.
Oh.
But Terry backed out because he had a movie commitment with Bruce Willis, a movie that ultimately didn't end up getting made.
Okay. You know what, JJ? I agree. JJ is saying Roadhouse is enough for Terry Funk to give him a star on the Walk of Fame. I think so. I think so. Yeah, he was one of the guys in the bars, and then watching the special games, JJ says. Yeah.
That's the ringer.
Yeah. So thank you, Terry, for everything that you did do for us, for everything that you gave to us, allowed us to see, allowed us to live through. Everything was absolutely fantastic. A decorated champion, member, holding the Iron Mike Mazurki Award in 2005 with the Cauliflower Alley Club. Championships with Championship Wrestling from Florida, All Japan, ECW. Class of 2010 for the George Tragos Luthez Professional Wrestling Hall of Fame. 2005 class for the Hardcore Hall of Fame. 2021 class for the International Professional Wrestling Hall of Fame. Doing so much stuff with Juggalo Championship Wrestling being their champion once, NWA Hollywood, Big Time, Propane, lots of rankings in PWI, so many different things here, and the class of 2009 for the WWE Hall of Fame as well.
Yeah, if there's one regret I have when it comes to Terry, I was thinking about this earlier today, but I remember about 20 years ago, they had a big wrestling show at the casino across the river from where we live. And I remember Terry Funk was actually supposed to be on that card taking on Too Cold Scorpio, if I'm not mistaken.
Oh.
Really?
I don't remember that.
No.
I think it was at the Bay Mills Casino, if I'm not mistaken.
Okay. I never found out anything about what was going on at Bay Mills. Everything for me was always at Kuwaitan.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And Carl and I did the Legends show at Kuwaitan.
We did.
But Terry was not there.
Juggalo Championship Wrestling, old drunk Terry Funk. He set Cactus's sack on fire and didn't give a shit. Violent J commentary.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Right? Absolutely fantastic. That's what we've got for Terry Funk tonight. We're going to take our time and we're going to move over to Bray Wyatt because I know that there's a lot on Bray that is out there. And I've got a few different things here for Bray Wyatt from other people. And the first one that we're going to share is just simply rest in peace, Terry. Rest in peace, Bray. That coming to us from Sean the Butcher with Sirius XM's Liquid Metal. Thank you, Sean the Butcher, for the inclusion here with this. Absolutely fantastic. Amazing guy over there. If you're not following him, follow at Sean the Butcher, just as it was written there. So, Chris, let's start with you. Give me something that you remember most vividly about Bray.
His overall presence. Just the way he always carried himself, like he always looked like he was bigger than God, and that's what I loved about him coming to the ring. Every time he came to the ring, I would sit here, complete silence, just soaking him in, soaking in his character, everything he did, listening to every single word he had when he cut a promo.
Right. OMD.
Again, the same as Chris, just watching, listening, captivated. I remember the first time I saw the Wyatt family on NXT. And I was thinking, what is this? Like, because I had no idea. And At the time, I mean, I wasn't impressed. I believe that was a Harper and Rowan match. But the way they were able to go all in their separate directions and come back, and the Wyatt family hadn't changed.
Right. Right. That was absolutely amazing. For me, my biggest takeaway with Bray Wyatt, and that's something that I think I'm going to remember for the rest of my days on this earth, is his ability to connect through any character that he chose to be.
Yeah, because
Absolutely.
even as Husky Harris, I was still enthralled with watching him wrestle. Granted, he was very vanilla with that character.
Right.
I remember the first time I saw him wrestling as Husky Harris, and I'm like, he's going places, this guy.
Right. And that's exactly, kind of what all of that was. Husky Harris, that character was that professional wrestler.
Yeah.
Mhm.
That was just your generic, player one pro wrestler. That's what that was.
Yeah.
And he was able to captivate with that to the point that we remembered who he was when he came as Bray Wyatt afterwards.
And I'm not going to lie, when he made the debut on the main roster and you hear the crowd chanting Husky Harris, that did annoy me a little bit.
Right. But that's a huge testament, though, to his ability to let you know that this was the same person, but different at the same time. And people knew who Husky Harris was.
And he managed to shut them out pretty quickly, too.
Yes, he did. Yes, he did. JJ is saying, what's the meaning of his messages? He has a message hidden and joked no one has found it. What the F is that? Or what the F is it? I don't know.
And that's how Bray captivated you.
Absolutely.
Right? Kept you guessing.
Absolutely. He was the one guy probably in the entire industry that never needed to have a title and could still keep you wanting more.
Yeah. I said it last night during the Thunderdome era. Him doing the Firefly Funhouse, him coming out every week, that was the shining light for what was a shitty situation for the entire world. That was my shining light, watching Bray Wyatt every week.
Yeah,
definitely it was. We had that because it was very much so a darker atmosphere inside the arena, right? There's nobody there. There's no need for all the house lights to be on, just the the light in the ring with the screens around. But then you come to this vignette and it's like, ooh, bright in my face, pop of color. We're getting that, cheeky kind of Bray Wyatt coming through, and then, very reminiscent of a Jake the Snake Roberts.
Oh, yes.
Absolutely.
Right. One of my favorites. I love Jake.
Yes.
I love him.
If Jake wasn't involved,
forever.
If Jake wasn't involved in AEW, I would have loved to have seen something between him and Bray on WWE TV.
Right. Even if it was just a like a managerial type of aspect, like he has been doing in AEW.
My thought was,
but I don't think that he even needed that, though. Bray didn't need that.
Bray didn't need that. What I would have liked to see, you wouldn't have even needed physicality, but just that confrontation, that face to face.
I mean,
what about you, Chris?
How cool would it have been? Let's say Wyatt didn't pass and we still had the Wyatt 6 gimmick coming up. How cool would it have been if Jake did come in, not necessarily as a manager, but just like as a corner man for them, and just, you know what I mean? Like the mastermind, if you will.
Right. Yeah. Like Jake could have just stood out at ringside, and every once in a while you see, somebody from the family go over and Jake just whispers something and then they go back into the ring. Like that connection alone, that
would have been so sick and twisted and awesome.
Yeah. Definitely it would have been. We've got another message here from a friend, Don, via Facebook, saying Bray Wyatt was when he first showed up with the Wyatt family. I'll never forget that moment. Showing up with the Wyatt family definitely was huge. Huge.
Yes.
Not just because of the men and their stature, which was huge, but just this, we got another faction. Right. And it was something different from what we've seen before, because we've seen the NWO, we've seen DX, we've seen the Four Horsemen, we've seen all these other little factions that are out there. But this was like a dark, brooding type of,
this
faction.
was more of
even darker than the Ministry.
Right. Darker than the Ministry. Yeah. Chris, what did you say? I didn't catch that.
It was more of a cult as opposed to a faction, because like him, Harper, Rowan, and even Braun had the entire crowd. Even Daniel Bryan, when he was there, when he was a part of them as well, had the entire crowd eating out of their hands every time they came out.
Yes, and Randy as well.
That's right. I forgot Randy was a part of them for a brief bit.
And that was
cool, by the way.
That was one of the most epic storylines for both Randy and Bray.
Right.
And you know who really benefited out of that too? It wasn't just Randy and Bray, but Luke Harper benefited quite nicely out of that.
Yep.
Yeah, he did. Definitely did. I think all of them that were part of that faction, part of, the Wyatt family, they all really benefited from that, whether it was Luke Harper, rest as well. Eric Redbeard, who we've seen locally here, which was fantastic to get to talk with him for a couple of minutes as well. Like, all of them really shone afterwards.
Yes. And to be honest, like, up until Eric Rowan had really gone out on his own when Bray had been released. Brody had gone to AEW. And then Rowan, you could actually see the work. He was able to change up his gear from that jumpsuit.
And that's when Brothers look.
After the Bludgeon Brothers, when he went solo, even with the stupid cage, but when he was able to do his squash matches and actually show that he could work, and then seeing him here live locally. But yes, it's.
And the one who benefited the greatest, I think, out of all them was Braun Strowman, because he was super friggin' green when he came in as a member of the Wyatt family.
Yep.
Oh,
and I remember, I hate to use his name, but Meltzer had said that WWE had planned to put the title on Braun by the end of the year. And when he had said that, Braun was super green, and I'm like, no, it ain't gonna happen. But by the time that year rolled around, I wanted to see Braun with the title.
Right? Me too.
See, I never did. I always found where everybody complained in that time about how much they were shoving Roman Reigns down our throat. I found the exact same thing for Braun Strowman. And I
found myself looking forward to Braun.
No, I still don't look forward to Braun.
Well, they can't all be winners coming from the family, I guess. There's always got to be that black sheep of the family.
Yep.
He was the black sheep. So.
Right.
But I want to, I do want to extend some kudos, if the reports in the story is true, of Roman not being on SmackDown because he flew to Bray's home to deliver JoJo the blue Universal title and retire it officially.
Yeah.
And that, we're going to have to wait until SmackDown this coming Friday to really find out 100% for sure, I hope. I hope that is the case. I hope that is what Roman did.
It was Bray that Roman took that title from.
Yeah. Yeah. Right, exactly, right? So I think it would definitely be fitting for that to happen. It is still speculatory. We don't know if that has actually happened yet or not, but if it did, like you said, OMD, huge kudos to Roman for doing that. When he didn't have to. He could have just
no,
and did or whatever,
and to do it out of the public eye.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Right. That's huge for me as well. They didn't have to make this big spectacle of it. It just was done. If it was done, it was
done. Yeah.
Right. See, we don't even know. We don't even know. That's how out of the public eye it is, because we don't even know if it did happen.
Nobody really knows if that actually happened.
No.
Not yet. Not yet. But I'm sure we will find out.
Yes.
Joe via Facebook says Bray harkened back to a time when wrestlers really embodied a character. He was a once in a lifetime kind of performer, and he will be missed.
Yes.
I definitely agree with that. And that's going back to, my first initial thoughts, when we came to the Bray Wyatt portion of this show tonight, is that he was able to embody any character that he was playing at the time, whether it was the Husky Harris, whether it was the Eater of Worlds, whether it was the Fiend. It didn't matter. Whatever character he had, he lived that character.
Absolutely.
And embodied all of it.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And I know, like, we've all heard it before from numerous reports, how much they compared Bray Wyatt to the Robert De Niro character in Cape Fear, or Dan Spivey as Waylon Mercy.
Yeah.
Right.
And another character I absolutely loved.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Waylon Mercy with that like dagger, like that was supposed to be tattooed on his forehead. Like, oh, like that. It just gripped you. You're like, ooh, I need to be afraid of this guy, but I'm loving this guy right now.
Right.
I remember you brought up Dan Spivey, and I just remembered something about this. When Bray Wyatt started that the Cape Fear character, Bray Eater World, he called Dan Spivey to get the okay on the character, and Dan Spivey said, "Yes, do it."
Yes.
Okay.
Bray Wyatt laid it all out how he was going to do the character, and Dan's like, "You got it, do it."
Yep, I did hear that as well. This one's a little bit of a longer one, but this is from our friend Jordan via Facebook again. He says, the nightmare, the horror, the Eater of Worlds, the Fiend. Bray Wyatt's cryptic character always gave you the feeling of dread, knowing he was coming, or even not knowing when. It gave a more terrifying feel to what others have tried to do. Still, the best thing he did when coming to the ring was the Bray lantern that was so eerily cool to see. And I was not able to get a picture of that I felt was okay enough for, because I did all of those graphics up for us tonight, of when the mask was on the lantern, because that was absolutely fantastic as well.
Yes.
But just the lantern itself.
Yes.
To this day, after seeing everything that Bray did with that, I still, if I have a lantern around somewhere, I'm grabbing that thing and I don't care. I don't care. I have since then, and I always will now.
I'm going to remember this when I went to Columbus for my first concert festival in 2014, and I went solo. I arrived in Columbus, I got to the hotel, and my Facebook status was, Columbus, I'm here. Blows out electric lantern.
Nice.
And, to realize Bray's family and the legacy his family has left, going back as far as, probably even further back than the Horsemen to the original Blackjacks. How he didn't try to carry on the Rotunda legacy.
Right?
And they didn't try and push Bo Dallas and Bray Wyatt as actual brothers, as actual family. But they also didn't, okay, Bray Wyatt's going to face Bo Dallas here tonight, and then they're going to spoil it by saying, well, they're brothers. They let him be who he is, not having to be a second or third generation superstar.
Right.
And that's why Mike Rotunda came back to the WWE in '91 as IRS as well. He wanted to carve his own niche in the wrestling business and not be Blackjack Mulligan or Blackjack Wyndham's second coming,
Yeah.
Lots of great things that we could continue to say about Bray, but I think we're going to leave it at that. We would also be remiss if we did not mention this man as well, a man who had a lot to do, even winning one of the WWE Slammy Awards, who also recently passed away at the age of 99, Bob Barker. Rest in peace, Bob Barker. Probably the best host of Monday Night Raw to ever have been on the program. Thank you, Bob Barker, for everything that you did for the world of professional wrestling and the entertainment that you understood and gave to us. I was debating on whether or not to do this, but I think we will do it anyways. Chris, we do still want to make sure that everybody knows where they can find you and what you have coming up and what you're due with our local establishment.
Sorry, I'm just laughing at that comment JJ just said about Bob Barker. Daytime pimp.
Yeah, he definitely was.
He really was. He had there was a lot of controversies around how he was a womanizer.
Right.
But yeah, all-time greatest game show host, in my opinion. Nobody would be him and Alex Trebek and Pat Sajak are my three favorites. So
understandable.
Yeah.
But no, if you want to find me on my socials, you can find me on YouTube at ChrisDamage83, Twitch TV, CBRS_entertainment. Find me on Threads at CBestFilms83 or on Facebook at Chris.best83. You can also find me here Monday nights, 8 p.m. Eastern, alongside Carl, alongside OMD, and alongside Chris Parrish for the Monday Night Raw Watch Along.
OMD.
They can find me on Facebook at Daniel Horisic. They can find me on Snapchat, One Man Dynamic, capitals on OMND, and now on Twitch at OMD17. And coming up this week, I will be hosting the Boar's Nest this coming Thursday with Bubba Duke, and we will be playing, in honor of Bray, in honor of Terry and Chainsaw Charlie, we will be playing the Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
Nice. Absolutely fantastic.
Oh,
we're not going to talk.
I actually had one more thought about Bray, and this is something that I was thinking about with him as the Fiend character. I'm a huge fan of slasher flicks and horror movies. So anytime the Fiend came out, I marked out for what he was going to do because I always cheered for the killers in the horror movies,
Right.
And
what would have happened had we been able to get a movie featuring a Bray Wyatt or a Fiend character?
I wanted WWE Studios to do that with him.
And not just, as fantastic and as gripping as that Wyatt swamp match was against Braun. Take that. I know that was a cinematic masterpiece, one of the best cinematic matches I've ever seen.
Just don't say that to Papa Smokes.
Yes.
But get something like that or one of those types of characters in and, let that movie in.
That's right. You can find me and all of my socials at my Linktree, linktr.ee/Karl Karufel. That's linktr.ee/KARL KARUFEL. If you're ever looking to support what we do here with Turnbuckle Talk and Turnbuckle Studios, the Linktree does have a PayPal that you can donate to if you so feel fit. I will let you know that all of the donations that go in there do come right back into the programs, into the creation of the graphics that are done for us, and all of these different things. It does go back and help pay for all of that. There are so many different places that you can find our local establishment. Please find whichever way you can. For the majority of things, it's our local establishment. Go and check all of them out. You will not be disappointed. There's so much great content that is not just professional wrestling based, but we have got gaming, we've got movies, we've got music, we've got paranormal, we've got so many different things that are over there for you to check out. My name is Karl Karufel. I've been graciously joined by Chris Best and OMD for this episode that we have entitled Celebrating the Legacies. Remember, everyone, the world's a scary place. Take care of each other. He's got the whole world in his hands. He's got the whole wide world in his hands. He's got the whole world in his hands. He's got the whole world in his hands.